So, Joe Rogan continues to upset the masses. At least that's what we're led to believe. I'm David Watson, this is my opinion. So, it's now come out. A lady called Breen Brown, a very famous guy from the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl, Joni Mitchell, and of course it all started with Neil Young. And lots of people are now allegedly, and I do say allegedly, adding their support to ditching Spotify because Joe Rogan is out of control and we don't like what he's saying. And Joe Rogan has spoken out himself now. He's been on Instagram and he put a post on Instagram saying, hey, I have lots of love for everybody. I don't hate any of you. Sometimes I don't get it right. But he makes a really, really good point, I think, is that all he's trying to do is have conversations with people. And he's trying to have conversations with different people. And one of the things he pointed out at the very beginning of all of this, when the dreaded COVID came out, we were told vaccines would be the fix. Now we're told they just help stop the spread and they were never going to be mandatory. Now they're trying to make them mandatory. Of course, it does depend on what country you live in. And hey, just for the record, I work in healthcare. I've had all my vaccinations and my little booster jab. Okay? I'm neither pro or con. Don't care. Do what you want to do. It's a necessity of my job and I still need to be employed. So, I don't have any skin in this game. I do think we should be free to make a choice. But Joe has spoken out about his own experience. He's just trying to have conversations with people. And of course, lots of people, lots of so-called celebrities with clout are outraged. The very celebrities who once upon a time, at the height of their careers, would be outraged at the idea of dumbing down speech, dumbing down free speech, of having to do what the government tells you. Ironic, if not a little sad. And I can't help thinking, like, did you do, like, seriously, ask yourself this, do any of you seriously give a shit what Neil Young does or Joni Mitchell does? They're not I suppose they might be my era, but I don't think they are. You know. Does anybody that listens to Joe Rogan podcast care about what these people think? And of course, it's an interesting one that Spotify kind of have to handle. They can't ignore it, can they? Because people are publicly saying, we will come off Spotify. We will ditch the platform for music sharing because you've signed a deal with Joe Rogan that if you decide to say no more, I'm pretty sure you've still got to pay him. Joe often refers to himself as a moron. He's about the brightest moron in every room he ever goes in. And if it's not him, it's his management team. There's no fools on that team. There's no idiots. They're smarter than me, that's for certain. And one of the things, you know, Spotify can't. They have to stick with Joe. The deal, Joe said at the time, the deal is based on the fact of you get no say on what I do or don't do. You get no control. And he's come out. Obviously, he feels for Spotify. Obviously, they do have a good relationship. And they've paid him a lot of money. And he's very grateful and he lives a beautiful life. And he's always happy to... He always says that, you know. He's got nothing to complain about. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons people are so endeared to Joe, why people like him so much. Because he seems to be the guy that he is. And when people meet him, they say, yeah, no, he's actually that guy. Which turns out, no pun intended, is a stand-up guy. But I can't help thinking that all of these celebrities who once in their day were the big names out there, and then there's a few more now jumping on the bandwagon. I think it's just free publicity. I think somebody just maybe sat there and said, "Hey Neil, we could get rid of, we could, you know, get a few sales. You know, nobody knows who you are really, not anymore. Nobody's out there buying the tickets. Don't be surprised if there's a tour coming up." Joni Mitchell has joined in solidarity with Neil, and like I said, and a few others have come out, and they're all saying in solidarity with Neil and Joni, we're going to stop people having conversations. We're telling you that if you choose to listen to a man having a conversation with somebody else, we're going to try and stop you. We're going to try and ban you. We are going to cancel you. That's fucking shocking. These people have no integrity. None at all. You know, I might be the biggest dickhead in the world, but I still have a right to be the biggest dickhead in the world. You have a right to enjoy watching me be a dickhead. You know, it's that simple. And Joe, like I said, check his Instagram out. It's probably on his Twitter. It's like a 9.5 minute video, and he just says, "Hey, look, you know, I get it. Some people are upset, but a lot of the things we were told were not true turned out to be true. A lot of the things people were getting kicked off social media for spreading misinformation, now turn out to be true. The people he had on his podcast, the two doctors in particular, very experienced. And within the medical community and within the science community, there is an ongoing debate about what is the right way to do it. The government lines, the government take is different depending on what country you go to. And Spotify is listened to all around the world. So it's not as simple as that person is spreading misinformation. That person, Joe Rogan, is just having a conversation. And long may it continue. But at what point do we start to call time? Not particularly on anyone, but when does this stop? That I don't like what you're saying, so you should be banned, you should be stopped. You know, this is these people are actually protesting, boycotting a platform because a guy's having a conversation and they don't like the conversation. Because he's interviewing people and they don't like them. But they're not going against rising taxes. They're not going against the crazy inflation. They're not going against prison sentence style lockdowns. They're not going on about unemployment. They're not going on about poor health. They're not going on about the problems you have in places like Venezuela, China. They're not going on about Christians getting crucified in other countries, Muslims being crucified in other countries. They're not going on about the sex slave that still goes on. They're not banging on about just, I mean, how many governments do you want to talk about? I mean, where do you want to start? No. But in a very free country, the United States of America, God bless it, they're getting pissed because Joe Rogan is talking to people who are some of the most, or one of the guys has patents on loads of the MRSA vaccines. He was part of the original vaccines, which was where a lot of the information came from for the current vaccine for COVID. The other guy was a cardiologist. You can see I researched this really well. I don't take notes, I just read it and then form an opinion. Hence it's called David Watson's opinion and not anything to do with facts. So, yeah, that's it really. That's that rant over. But yeah, let me know what you think. Comment below. Whether you like Joe or don't like Joe. Let me know what you think.